all the way from Poland. FDomes has just arrived at the very special location in Western Texas. And I'm not going to hide my excitement, like my hands are like shaking, because it is a very special project to me and it is also a very special place to me. So stay tuned for more. And the secret is being revealed. We are at Double Moon Ranch in Terlingua, Texas. Come on, let's check it out. You know, there are these situations, probably you have them too, that something happens and it stays with you and it changes sometimes your life. And this was the moment I picked up the phone from Evan and I ended up in Terlingua. I wonder if Evan remembers it too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We we had it. Yeah, we were on a journey that led us to that call. And I don't remember if you guys were a recommendation or if we found you just on Google or how, but we had, yeah, long story short, we had built, we had had the idea, Katie had the idea to build domes out in the desert, and it was always kind of the idea to build them on decks, and she oversaw the entire process and did amazing with it. And because it was our first venture, we were paying everything out of our own pocket. We
First off grid venture.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
First off grid venture, but we paid for everything ourselves. And when you're doing that, budget matters big time. So it was really important for us to try to cut corners where we felt like we could. And one of the areas that we felt like we could initially was getting some less expensive domes. And that's really, Joanna, what led us to calling you guys and redoing it the right way. We had a lot of issues with what the domes, with what our original domes were made out of, and they got hot in the sun. The plastic began to melt. It was cheap material, and so it led us to calling you guys. And I'm really glad we did.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have a lot of money in the beginning, but I had an idea and I wanted to do it, and so I was gonna make it happen regardless, and which we did. But because we went with the less expensive domes, it led to a lot of bad reviews because of the wear and tear on these domes. It happened in like right at a year, I think.
Yeah.
It was like right at a year. Being in the desert, the sun did a lot of damage and just kind of destroyed the front window.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we started getting bad reviews, and so we just have come out of those bad reviews, and they were all due to that dome.
Yeah. But I think, Joanna, I think it's a testimony for FDomes. I mean, you guys, like, we've seen an enormous difference in the quality of the domes we purchased first versus what we got with you guys. And I mean the first domes, it's like the sunlight. The desert's tough. It's extremely hot in the daytime. It's extremely cold at nighttime. So material out there matters big time. And I know for the first domes we had out there, it just could not withstand the heat, and then the freezing cold, and then the heat again. So I mean, it began to crack, and yeah, it was gross.
And the great part about that, you can just remove the window if you need to replace that, is like really amazing. And of course, the customer service has been really amazing.
Oh no, it's been awesome. No, it totally has. No, I mean, the fact that you answered the call at like 9 o'clock at night and actually like spent the time helping us out. I mean, that was a really, I'll be totally honest, that was a tough time in our life, because we had just spent a lot getting all this stuff off the ground, and then going through the pain of having to rip out the domes we had and replace and get you guys things shipped out. It was chaotic, and it was tough, but you guys were awesome with it.
Which was reassuring for us.
Yeah, for sure.
That must have been a struggle because, well, you didn't actually set up the domes from the beginning. You had to actually destroy something that you put your heart into and then set it up anew. How hard did it have to be? Like the decks were there, but you had to destroy everything. Like, did you get it out from the dome, store it somewhere, set up the domes? How long did it all take from the moment you decided to, because I know that we manufactured the domes in 2 weeks, then the shipping was quite because of the distance. But
yeah,
once the domes arrived, were the previous domes already destroyed, or did you start destroying the first domes once our arrived?
So we had the same guy who is a friend's brother who knows a lot about domes, and he actually had put up the initial domes, and then he had never put up FDomes before, but we left the original ones up so that he could stay in one of the domes and then tear down one at a time. That way he had a place to sleep. And he actually brought out a buddy, and I told him, you know, I think that you guys would be able to do this in a day. I guess it was maybe from the instructions, or maybe you had guided us on how long it took. And it took them, for the other domes, weeks. And when I said he could do it in a day, he was like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. But they actually did. They started first thing in the morning, and they tore down the dome and had it clear and ready for to set up the next one. And they got it set up completely all in one day. And I think the only thing he had not set up was the wood stove. But other than that, everything else was set up in a day.
And I remember him talking a lot about the build quality and how much firmer the domes were, how much more heavy duty
it's way easier.
What's it called? Like the spine that goes in it, or whatever it is, the membrane that goes in it, how much like more durable that was, and how much better all of that was. So I think he was impressed also with it.
So he got it up in a day, and then he put new flooring in it. Actually, he might have done half of the flooring that first day too.
Mm-hmm.
But had the flooring, electrical, and all that reconnected within the next day. So it took, all in all, after putting the dome up and adding the electrical and the plumbing and all that back in, about like 2 days, 2.5 maybe.
Yeah, wasn't bad at all, honestly.
That was quick. That was actually very quick. And I'm sorry that we couldn't meet in person here, because
I know.
Like, I would like you to walk me around, but what I need to tell you that this place is a pure magic. I don't know who came up with the idea of such elevated decks with all these extra things under the deck, because when I arrived, I was like, wow, these are high decks. And then when I approached the dome, I could see like the swings and the showers. Like, whose idea was it?
Well, the reason I had that idea is because I like the idea of being out in nature, but I am terrified of snakes and spiders and whatever nighttime creatures are going to come out. And so I was afraid of that. And if I'm anywhere near the ground, then I'm not going to sleep good. So I wanted to be high up. And I wanted to kind of just focus in on the mountains. And if you're higher up, you don't see any of, it's not completely secluded. But with a raised deck, it takes your focus off of anything else that's anywhere near, and you really just see the mountains. And so that was kind of the reason for that. We had it, the lower part of the deck, I think, was our initial height, which is 5 feet. And then I think it's 5 and then 8 or 4 foot maybe. And we ended up going higher because I wanted to have you need shade in the desert. Lots of shade. And so I thought if we're a little bit higher, we can have like a whole like lounge space so that you can get out of the sun in the middle of the day and have a whole area to hang out. So that's what we decided to, when we decided to utilize the space under the deck for shade and for living space during the day.
It's so Instagrammable, I need to tell you. I loved it. For the pictures. It's such a simple idea at the end of the day, but as it came up like to be totally unique, even though it's just that you can think, oh, it's just a shower outside or it's just a swing, but all together it gives you this experience, which is the most important thing when you're camping.
Yeah.
And
No, and it's unique also, and I think that's what's nice also is like there's obviously it's like I think domes are becoming kind of like the rage right now. I mean, everybody seems like they're building out kind of like a dome area.
Well, it's
but
a new thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's become new and it's fun and interesting, but having ours up on the deck is I think made us kind of like a little bit more unique than a lot of the other ones are, I think.
I will say, I have several friends that have Airbnbs in the same area and don't book out, and they don't have domes. They are really beautiful places and spots to go stay, but our domes book out year round, all the time, because they're still unique. It is a new thing, but it's still unique, and everybody wants to come. When you travel, stay in an Instagrammable space. Well, a dome is so Instagrammable versus a just regular house, or so
but you
that
also
has been
arranged it amazingly inside the whole setup inside, and the distance between the domes, it all gives you the privacy in the open space, actually flat open space. And this is what gives me to my my next question. How about the infrastructure? Like, we are on the desert, and how much did you struggle with infrastructure? So leading like electricity, sewage, you have toilets in the dome, the shower.
How high is up?
well,
it was a big struggle.
We were fortunate in a lot of ways we found a contractor, really nice guy, and he is very talented in a lot of ways. And in some ways we found he was more talk than talent, but he knows the ground, and it's not really soil, it's sand. It's and he knows how to build on that. He's built a lot of structures out there, and so he knew exactly like that we needed metal poles for these huge decks, really secure, safe. And he dug, like, I can't remember how deep, but very deep down into the ground to secure it really well. And so that in itself was huge. He also did the customized kitchenette and sink for us in there, and which really helped. I guess the areas that were a huge struggle for us is we are completely off grid. So we've never even owned any solar. So we had to figure out, and we initially just went off of everything this contractor told us about solar, and we again didn't have very much budget in the beginning. So he did a lot of makeshift solar panel situations, and which got us up and running. But then it was, we had a lot of issues because we're in the desert and there's such extreme weather with the heat and then the cool in the evening, that dome that we had zero insulation. And running off of solar, we only have so much power in a day. And we were trying to heat and cool this paper thin dome that it was impossible. So that led to some more bad reviews in the beginning. So since then we've also had to upgrade and go with a new person who knew the solar a little bit better. The septic was pretty simple. We had a plumber come out, and that part has been pretty, it was just simple, easy, and he just installed and all was well. The solar has been the biggest issue. And with water, we have some water collection, and then we have people that come deliver water because we need more than we collect. But that's been pretty, flowed pretty well with the water deliveries and all that.
And what was first? You first had land and then came up with the idea of geodesic domes and the glamping, or did you search for the land having in mind that you want to set up a glamping resort with geodesic domes? What was first?
Did come first.
So we had stayed in a dome prior and thought it was we had a really just fun family trip with
Mhm.
that dome, and the kids, we laid in bed that night and just watched shooting stars from the ceiling.
It was
And
like magical. It was really,
it
really
was one
cool.
of the best family trips, and we
Yeah.
loved it. But I didn't necessarily, I decided the land was pretty cheap out there. So I decided we could afford some land out there. And I didn't necessarily know it was going to be a dome, but the way, honestly, our properties have all been kind of a God thing. And it was kind of a desire. I had a little bit of a desire after staying in a dome. And then I had a bit of a desire to buy out there because I knew we could afford it. And I knew how just magical it was out there. And
Mhm.
it's a whole nother world in Turlingwood. So
Yeah.
beautiful.
It
And
is.
so I had that desire. And then God literally pieced it together. I was getting coffee a couple weeks later after voicing this idea to him. And I'm in our neighborhood coffee shop, and I overheard so and so, who I didn't know, has some land he's selling in Terlingua. I was like, wait, what? So I put my nose in. I was like, who is this guy? And I'm writing down his name. And I contacted the guy, and yeah, we ended up, I met with him, really liked him. We had a lot of mutual friends, and we ended up buying it sight unseen. He had shown me videos of it, and I just, we just did it because it was really inexpensive, and I liked the guy, and we did it. And then I voiced the idea of maybe we could consider domes, or it's got to be something unique. I'm not sure what it is.
Mhm.
And then, like, the next week, I was dropping my son off at school, and I overheard somebody saying, my brother is starting to sell domes. He's getting them out of China, and he's getting them for really inexpensive, like, and he's selling domes. And so I put my nose in there, and I was like, wait, tell me about this. So it's honestly been a God thing. God's just kind of directed this path, and we've obviously had a lot of learning lessons, which is also a
You just
God
kind of
thing
expect that, honestly.
because we're learning, and
Yeah.
so, and being more equipped for the next steps that we take. So, yeah, I can't necessarily take credit for all the pieces that came together because they were thrown in my lap. So, which is usually when you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is another history. I can hear that the land actually found you rather than you
Yeah,
found it. And this is,
Yeah.
for
I don't know,
sure.
I
Yeah.
think it's like this glamping people kind of vibe that they are like, this land found me. And this was exactly the same with you guys. And this land is
Yes.
magical. Like, I will be repeating myself all and over again, I think, till the rest of my life, because this experience of staying at your dome was, for me, like a dream coming true. I always wanted to visit Texas.
Oh man.
Staying at your dome like truly made me really
Aw.
well. And I
That's
did
really special.
experience the heat during the day and during the golden hour. And then we sat down outside enjoying a very late dinner, and the wind started. And we could barely walk around the stand, actually, like the
Oh,
deck.
wow.
We were hiding in the dome because the wind was so strong. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they meant about this Texas weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we went into the dome, and apart from the actually, like, the whistle of the wind, we
Mhm.
couldn't feel anything inside. So even though the
Yeah.
dome was very elevated and the wind was extremely strong, it was all like, nestled inside and so cozy.
So I'll say this. I remember we were in the old domes out there. We had stayed out there one time during a storm. And I don't think it could have been any more the opposite of what like you had experienced. The dome, like you felt like it was
rip off
loud
of you.
inside. It was kind of like shaking around and everything. So I think again, that's a real key thing with FDomes was
Yeah.
that like you didn't hear any of that or feel it. It just felt like you're protected, which is exactly how it ought to feel. But
Well, I
yeah,
think too, I don't know what you call it, kind of the insulation, like, that's behind you, the gray insulation part.
Mhm.
I feel like that helps because we didn't have that in the other one. It was literally like what you saw was what was on the outside
Yeah.
all the way around. So you
This
could
one
see.
helps. Yeah, this one is a must. Like, I remember when Evan called me first, I was like, I'm not going to sell you a dome without insulation. and without a glass door. Like you
Yeah.
can, and you cannot have a dome for rental in Texas without insulation. Like you will
Yeah.
use all your money on heating and cooling, and it will not be nice to stay at.
Yes, that
They-
definitely is what happened initially.
But I think them just being that much more sturdy also. I mean, it's like night and day because I know the old domes, like you would feel it was rocky and it was shaky. They were loud inside. So yeah, very different now.
So there is difference. That's good. Because
there's a big difference. There's a big difference for sure.
oh, like these are domes and these are domes. And I'm just like, no, let's compare apples to apples. Like you cannot say that shape is the only like similarity
Right.
you can take under
100%.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think that I have last question about the permissions, because this is a very sensitive subject all over the US and all over the world actually now. And I know that Texas is more soft when it comes to permissions. What was your experience about even setting up the domes? Did you struggle with permissions or did it go like this?
Oh, it's Terlingua and it's whatever goes.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird
It's
area
like-
where it's like you want to build a hotel, you can build a hotel. You want to throw up a dome, you can throw up a dome. Like it's
Honestly, there were no restrictions at all,
Yeah.
except for since it was going to be an Airbnb, they made us, and this is just Terlingua because this is not other places, but they did make us put in a commercial size septic, which I thought was strange. But that was the only thing that they requested.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's being there. It's been totally fine.
So now it's only success and relax that domes are there. They're fully booked. They're beautiful. The reviews are great. And I'm not surprised. And I hope to be back one day and maybe meet you there. Time.
Yeah.
No,
we need
would
to
love
get
that.
back out there too. So that
We
would be
do.
great.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving something for you here. So when we leave Terlingua and your domes, I hope you will be able to pick it up. Some small gift.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
So I hope you like it. And thank you so much for taking the call, even though we are in Texas, in the same country, but still couldn't meet. But thank you, technology. Thank you, Zoom. And thank you for taking your time. And it was amazing to see you because, as we mentioned, we actually didn't see each other when you were purchasing the domes. So
Right.
nice to see you. And I wish you all the best, all the luck, because you deserve best with this amazing place.
Well, thank
we
you.
like so appreciate you guys, and like you have definitely been the best most helpful like customer service.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
we've
have,
ever had.
you guys have gone above and beyond.
yeah,
I mean, I remember.
sure.
I mean, I remember with the installation also just like texting you questions about, hey, this piece is where does it go kind of thing, and like you would answer immediately
yeah.
and like we're always on top of it. So
For sure.
no, it's been an amazing experience with FDomes and working with you guys and everything. So we're very happy about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan, for being with us and for this special interview. Thank you guys for joining us on our trip to this magical place. And stay tuned because it's just the beginning of FDomes in Texas.